Hi, I'm one of Gizelle's neck rolls, better known as Unicorn, and welcome to the show. I ain't had to be one of that lady neck rolls now. Like, that's just rude. Anyway, y'all, we got a whole bunch to talk about, okay? We got a lot to talk about. One of which, how the spirit of forgiveness was overflowing in abundance this episode, and how light-skinned women just keep popping up like gremlins. Like, it's like every Sunday, there's a new batch of light-skinned women that my eyes have to adjust to. It's just like, it's a lot. It's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up around here. But before we get into the episode, make sure we take care of some business. That means liking, sharing, liking, sharing, and subscribing. And if at any point you feel it on your spirit, you feel a little stressed in your chest, you feel like you need to lay down your burdens, please drop it down in the comments. Okay. So the episode starts off with a little montage of what all the ladies are doing. It starts off with Karen in the sauna, fermenting her sweat for essential oils and candles that she's going to sell on the Ladon website. And then we move over to Ashley working up a sweat, gyrating off beat to TikTok tunes. And while she got little Michael Dean David up in the wine cellar, scratching and clawing the walls looking for goldfish, like, that poor baby, why is he in the closet? And then we got Mia and her lips and family at, I don't know what they were doing. Every time Mia's on my screen, I look away. I just don't know what she was doing. I'm sorry. If it was integral to the story, which I highly doubt, I guess y'all will let me know. And then we go from there, and then we head to the Reasonably Shady Studios, where Robyn and Gizelle are echoing the things that they hear in their minds and actually recording it and letting people hear it. I don't know why Robyn and Gizelle thinks that we need to be accosted by what goes on in their mind on this Reasonably Shady podcast, but here we are. So that's where the episode lands on Robyn and Gizelle. Now, pause. What I will say is that I have checked out their podcast, like back when they first started it, and I will say that it was not half bad. Like, if I liked them, I would probably stretch the truth to say that it was good. But, you know, child, it ain't nothing like really worth listening to every week. Now, but I do get the appeal. I will say though that they were just featured on Kadeen and Deval's podcast called Deadass, and they were invited to help answer some listener letter questions. And I left that podcast with questions. So one of the listeners asked them, like, how as a man can I gain confidence in order to approach a woman or something like that. And then Gizelle had the nerve, the absolute gall, the audacity to say, well, maybe you should wear better clothes. Okay. And then we move on to another question where somebody asked, you know, they wanted some advice if she should leave her husband, but, you know, she got kids or whatever. And then Robyn, of all people, had the nerve to say, you should not stay with your husband for the kids. Can we roll the beam footage? I mean, is that just not the kitchen cabinets calling the picture frame beige? Like, let's be for real here, Robyn. Anyway, so then we move on from there, and they talk about the conversation that Robyn and Wendy has in the club. And you can kind of tell that Robyn, she's kind of trying to gauge Gizelle's energy to see if the coast was clear for her to be friends with Wendy or whatever. And because she can't even come up with a solid reason of why she doesn't like Wendy anymore. She's just like, we've been at this for a whole year. Okay, well, stop. It's tired. It's done. It's cooked. Mama, take it out of the oven. Eat it. Chew it. It's gone. We're done with it. It's canceled. Leave it alone. So there's that. And then they end up talking about Candiace and Robyn and how she reached out to Candiace and yada, yada, yada. So That's all that happened at the Reasonably Shady headquarters. Okay, and then from there, we move on to Candiace and Chris. Candiace and Chris are in the backyard planning Candiace's graduation party. And they go into asking, he goes into asking like who's all coming. And she lets us know that she invited Karen because, you know, it was revealed to her that she actually did say something about Karen stepping out on Ray. So she wanted to invite her so she can clear the air with Karen. I guess we'll get into more of that when that actually comes up. But then she mentions that she's inviting Robyn, and then it cuts to her confessional where she says that she feels really bad and she feels like Robyn is one of the girls that she can trust. And it's like, are we watching the same show? Well, and okay, so maybe it's one of those things where like the cameras just aren't interested in the friendship between Robyn and Candace. Maybe that's it. Maybe we just don't get to see the blossoming, trusting, and loving friendship that these two have. And I will, like, just to give Robyn a bone, like, I do think that they are always very supportive of one another's, like, business ventures, but that to me doesn't say y'all friends. I just say that, like, you know, you recognize that y'all got a business and y'all are trying to do things outside of this show and y'all are using each other to lift each other up. Like, okay, cool. But I don't personally remember anything on this show where Robyn has been, she should be deemed trustworthy, because if my memory serves me correct, at the beginning of season 5, Robyn was right along with the rest of the girls and Monique trying to ice Candiace out. And if I'm not mistaken, she was right along with the rest of the day one light-skinned girls trying to hold Candiace to a different standard at the season 6 reunion. So in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I just don't see any redeeming qualities for that friendship. Like, I think that they have a friendship, but I just don't know why she holds her up to the standard as being the most trusting and she's a real friend and she's the one that she loves the most out of the group. I'm like, okay, child. But I guess we'll get into more of that when they have their sit down. So now we move on to Karen wants to do a live show. I was sitting there listening to all of the shit that her friend was force feeding her or whatever, and I kind of left the scene feeling like, okay, what is this show about? Because what it seems like is that he was just force feeding you a bunch of shit out of the old, tired, and abused as live show playbook, drag queens and musical numbers. It's like, okay, like, we have so many of those, and Karen doesn't really have like one of those hosting personalities. She has a reality show ensemble cast personality to where she can only do her job if everybody else is doing their job as well. Like, I don't see her pulling off a live talk show. I mean, people are, you know, volunteering to listen to Robyn and Gizelle talk, you know. So if that can happen, I'm sure people love Karen, so people will show up to whatever it is that she's doing. But I think a more interesting story here would have been Karen prepping for a live show, her meeting with like a speech therapist, I don't know, her like trying to learn how to host things, and her doing interviews and stuff like that, her just trying to learn the skills of the trade, because I think that there are important skills that you need to be able to hold somebody's attention for a very long time to do a live show. But I guess if you just, you know, employ the drag queens and the musical guests to help beautify the show, to help add some allure to the show, then I guess, you know, do what you gotta do. Everybody can't be Wendy Williams. And then she also said how Wendy Williams inspired her to do it. Okay, moving on. So then we get into the scene where Wendy and Eddie are in the car and they are talking about Wendy and all of this shit that she has on her plate and how she is still not making herself a priority. Wendy, cut the shit, go get your surgery, go do whatever it is that you gotta do, prioritize your health, like, you will be fine. You be really out here working like a Hebrew slave, lady. Please put yourself at the top of the list, because if your body goes out of commission, you will not be able to do anything, okay? So make you a priority. There's that. So now we move on to the scene where Robyn and Candace have their sit down at some restaurant, child. And the scene starts off like quick. I don't even think that we were able to see what they ordered to eat or anything, because, you know, Candace sat down and immediately she just opened the floor for Robyn, and then Robyn starts immediately crying, and then the audience, I think we're just like, damn, she hurt like that for Candace, like, ooh. But and I kind of don't like the fact that production did that. It's like, y'all could have let us know that Robyn had a death in her like one of her friends passed or whatever. Like, y'all could have said that before, instead of trying to make it seem like she was like crying about Candace. But anyway, she lets us know that one of her friends passed, and, you know, it just kind of puts things into perspective for Robyn. And I will say, this is the very first episode of this season where I'm feeling anything besides like, well, no, because I do think in the beginning of the season I was a little happy with how Robyn was coming in, but I will say that I felt Robyn in this moment. And I have a heart. I am human, you know. Despite her being a beige demon for most of this season, you know, I'm still able to like empathize with her, because I just could not imagine. So Robyn tells Candace that she had a friend, or she cries about that, and then they come back and Candace she tells her side, like, you know, I really just would have wished that you, as my friend, would have come to me if you felt like I was talking about you. And Robyn comes back and is like, well, I think that you should be a little more specific when you are going on your rants about people or whatever. And they kind of just stop there at the intersection, and there's like, it is what it is. I think they might apologize to each other, and they hug, and then they move on. We love it. The spirit of forgiveness. She's in the room. She's heavy. She's flowing. We love it. So then we get to Mia. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't care. I don't care. I do not care. I don't care about nothing that Mia's doing. She's opening up another chiropractic or whatever. And honestly, when this scene came on, I grabbed my phone and started scrolling through Twitter, started liking and sharing and retweeting and all that other shit on Twitter, because I just don't care about Mia scenes. I just don't. And then I did happen to like look up when Jacqueline came and noticed that this lady is just real Ross Dress for Less type tea. She is very sponge roller set type lady, and that's fine. Like, you know, somebody gotta be out here wearing their thin natural hair. Somebody has to do it. You know, everybody can't be out here with the bundles on top of bundles, you know. But girl, you on TV? It's like, girl, let's get it together. All right, so from there we move on, because I'm not spending no time on Mia's scene. I don't know what happened there, and I'm not even about to act like I did. Okay, so then we move on from there, and we go to Uncle Lump and Ashley's auntie. Ashley rolls up. She's all sad and crying because she's going through it with Michael or whatever, and it hits her that she's about to be a single mother, and she has to be responsible for the well-being of these kids, and it's like, blah, 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 blah. Now, what I will say is that I do believe Ashley when she said that she's scared about the unknown. She doesn't know what she's doing, and she just wants to be a good mom and whatever. But what I will say, next time when you about to have one of these emotional scenes and you know that you got to conjure up a cry, you might want to go to the kitchen first and cut you up an onion and just get the juices flowing first, because it was just like all this shaking and shivering and shit and no tears. It's just, where's the liquid? We see nothing but big lashes and heavy eyeshadow and no tears. It's like, girl. If you need help with this exercise, I would say call Erica Jane. She seems to be an expert in the fake cry with mascara. Erica Jane is my girl, so for all the girls that don't like Erica Jane, this is not a Erica Jane bashing site. I'm just saying my girl is an expert at conjuring up a cry with a good eyeliner. and Aisha. But what I will say though is that Ashley's aunt really gave her some good auntie solid advice. Like, girl, you were born into an entire village. We all got you. You will not go through this alone. Like, you will be fine. Like, I need you to stand up. But you will be fine. Like, it's okay, girl. Get your tears out, do whatever you gotta do, but it will be fine. You got an entire village. Them kids won't want for nothing, and everything is gonna be okay. So, like, I love that she does have that support system. Makes me wonder, where the fuck was Mama Sheila at? Her ragged ass. Anyway, so Candiace picks up her mom from the airport. I believe that's where she picked her up from. And she tells her about the possibility of her being pregnant. And immediately, without missing a beat, without taking a breath, without blinking, without stuttering, Miss Dorothy goes into judging her and Chris. Like, y'all gonna still be cussing? Y'all gonna do that? If that old battle axe ain't gonna do nothing, she is gonna be consistent, okay? She's going to be consistent. We love it. Okay, from there, we move on to Angel and Adore's birthday party. I don't have much to say about this scene. Gizelle looked like Gizelle. Angel and Adore looked absolutely beautiful. The girls look cute, but I will say that, like, it was just a table full of light-skinned leeches there, and I'm just like, where is all of these girls coming from? Like, why Giselle ain't got no dark-skinned friends? Like, girl, why is all these women just light-skinned and biracial? It's just like, yikes. She's never beaten those colorist allegations. Ooh, baby. They are getting you, sister. They are getting you. So yeah, that's that. Jamal showed up. She introduced everybody to Jamal. Jamal was there, and he probably wrote the check for the party. This scene was nothing as well. Okay, so Candace's graduation party. They're setting up for the party. Mama Dorothy and Candace, they outside. They see a Gizelle in the garden, girl. They see a snake in the garden, and Dorothy is like, I thought Gizelle wasn't invited. If that old battle axe ain't gonna be nothing, she is going to be shady and consistent, and we love it. We love it. So anyway, Candace's sister shows up. She's gorgeous. She looks good. Karen shows up, and Karen get right to the mess. She goes and asks Robyn about Robyn's wedding, and Robyn lets us know that she is going to have a very small, intimate gathering. It's not about to be a whole production. It's not giving all of that. So Karen is like questioning it, like, why wouldn't you have a big wedding? It's just like, girl, now you want to have a little intimate wedding. But to be fair, she had the big wedding already. She had the pomp and circumstance. She did all that. They wasted all their money on that. So yeah, I actually do really understand her just wanting to have something small, because honestly, for them and everybody else, it's a regular Tuesday. It is a regular day. Y'all have not been apart since you've been divorced. You've been living together. So it's like you've been shacking up this whole goddamn time. Nothing is going to change. You're having this ceremony to commit to one another. Like, y'all literally might as well take y'all asses on to Vegas, get married Elvis style. It's just like, for what? Y'all don't need to go to Jamaica. Y'all don't need to go to Peru. Y'all don't even need to go to the court. Like, just go to the courthouse and sign the papers. Y'all don't even need to go to Vegas. Y'all don't even need to waste those people's time. Just go to the courthouse, sign the documents, call it a fucking day. Okay? Stop irritating us with this mess. So Robyn and Wendy sit down to have a little powwow. And Robyn tells Wendy that the question that she has on her mind is like, why is it that you want to have a conversation with me one-on-one, but we can't have it in front of the group when, you know, like, the initial infraction was in front of the group. Now, to a degree, I understand that, right? On the surface, I understand that. Like, yeah, if you embarrass me in public, I'm gonna also need a public apology. Like, that's how that kind of thing works. I'm gonna need, if you wanted to make it a show about embarrassing me, make it a show about also apologizing to me and saying that you were wrong. Let's do that. Then the other thing is, like, first of all, Everybody was in the club when y'all had this conversation besides Gizelle. So, Robyn, I'm gonna help you spell it out. The real reason why you have a problem with her not apologizing to you in front of Gizelle is because you and Gizelle have a pact to get this girl kicked off the show, and you reconciling with her outside of Gizelle's presence is a little iffy and a little mixy, and then you are afraid to have to then go back and report to Gizelle that y'all two made up, so you ain't gonna be able to hold on to your end of the bargain, and she gonna have to try to get her kicked off on her own. That is the reason. Because if it was just a club where it was just Gizelle and if it was just Gizelle and Robyn and Gizelle and if it was just a club and just with just Gizelle, Robyn, and Wendy, Robyn wouldn't have had no problem with this. She wouldn't have needed Candiace to be there. She wouldn't have needed Ashley to be there. She wouldn't have needed Karen to be there. She wouldn't have needed any of the other girls to be there. She just needed Gizelle to be there. But the fact that Gizelle wasn't there made her feel vulnerable and like she had to accept Wendy's apology because she didn't have anybody there in her ear reinforcing the fact that like we don't like her and we are trying to get her kicked off. That's her problem. Like, Gizelle's problem is that she's probably actually a really nice and sweet person, but she attached herself to the goddamn devil, so she got to do the devil's bidding a lot of the times. So you got to watch these snakes now. Gizelle in the garden. Gizelle in the garden. So anyway, they hug, kiss, make up, whatever. I don't know why Wendy keep apologizing, but we just gonna let this lady try to find her way back in this group or whatever. You feel like you gotta apologize and kiss a little ass to get in this group, do what you gotta do, sister. Karen and Candiace clear up their little miscommunication or not communication. Candiace apologizes and owns up to what she said about Karen stepping out on Ray, and Karen graciously accepts her apology. They hug and they call it a day. Like, you know, it is what it is, bitch. What's next? And I really don't really have anything to say about that. I just feel like I think that they both should keep an eye out on each other because Karen really ain't to be trusted, and Candiace, I ain't gonna lie, like that shit to me is just dumb. I don't know why you would ever say anything like that, drunk or not, in front of Ashley. It was just crazy. Like, girl, if that's how you act when you get drunk, you might not need to touch another sip of liquor, wine, anything else in your life. Bitch, I don't even want you gargling. No, I'm playing. Make sure you gargle. But okay, anyway, so then we move past that, and then we move to the scene where Ray and Chris are having a conversation, and Ray tells Chris that, you know, maybe there was just a miscommunication and maybe you should be the bigger person and apologize to Gizelle. And it's like, apologize to Gizelle for what? Ray, shut up. Mind your business. Have you ever told your wife to be the bigger person when it comes to her and Gizelle? No. So, mind your business. And Gizelle didn't accuse you of trying to be fresh with her. So, mind your business. Mind your business. Chris ain't having it. He kind of storms out in the middle of Candiace's little speech, and Chris is over it. He was like, fuck that, I ain't apologizing for shit. And then we cut to a confessional with Chris and Candiace where they're like, yeah, no, I'm not having him. Candiace is like, no, I'm not having him talk because I don't know what the hell that girl might say to cause a reaction out of him or me. So yeah, no, we're not having no little powwow with her. It's fuck her and she's dead to us. It is what it is. And that is the end of the episode. Y'all, this was a filler episode and I tried my best. So y'all, give me an A for effort because this episode was a little boring. But, you know, we have made commitments and we are going to be here throughout the entirety of this season. And so for my efforts, please go ahead, like, share, subscribe, and make sure you leave a comment and do all of the things. And please come back next week. And remember to keep them Gizelles out your garden. All right, y'all. Toodles.